Hey there, Shawna Karrasch here with another Ask Shawna answer. Okay, this one comes from Kathleen, and Kathleen says, I want to teach my horse not to be fearful of the clippers. He's an Icelandic and has to be trace and body clipped at certain times of the year. He is so fearful, he strikes out at me in defense. Very dangerous. He clamps his mouth at times when I try to reward with a tiny carrot. Okay, so Kathleen, what you're seeing when he clamps his mouth and won't eat, that is classic over threshold. You are totally right, and what he's doing is dangerous, but it is fear. So I love that you recognize and you identify that it's fear. Sometimes people say he's being a bad horse or he's aggressive. It's just fear. I mean, even the most aggressive horses, it started at fear someplace. So what you want to do is find a place where you can help him to feel good about the clippers, or to become comfortable with them first, and then we want to counter condition them. So that means we want to take it from being something that right now he hates and is fearful, and it's just the worst association in the world. He thinks, I mean, when they get that dangerous, they really thinks it's going to kill him. You know, he thinks he's, oh my gosh, I'm going to die if I don't protect myself. So we want to get it from that place to where he goes, oh, I love the clippers, clip my ears, you know, and he reaches into it, or whatever you want him to do. So what we want to do is you want to start. Thresholds are very important here. I talk a lot about thresholds when I talk about things, and a lot of the things that we want to train, we really want to be aware of thresholds all the time, but especially when we get to something like this, when we're really trying to overcome a fear. Now, his threshold, a lot of times in traditional training, we think threshold is when his head is way up in the eyes and his hair way up in the air, and his eyes are as big as saucers, and he's just breathing fire. And that's when we think they're over threshold. Yeah, they're over threshold by about 3 miles. So what we want to do, we want to recognize the tiny, tiny, tiny places where he starts to go over threshold. So under threshold or below threshold is when he's standing like this. To me, threshold is when you come near with the clippers and he goes, what's that? That's threshold. It's not over threshold. I mean, that's not gone over yet. It's a place where he's going, I see what you got there. I'm cognizant. I'm aware of what you're bringing into this environment. I can still think and process, because once I get to that place where they are long gone, there's no thinking, processing, learning. If we continue on, we're in that place, we can do something called flooding. And this is very common in the traditional horse world, where people like, I just sacked them out. I took a bag and rubbed it all over them until they stopped reacting. Well, a lot of times what they're doing is, if they can't get away, and they're on a lead rope or they're tied, and we keep doing it, and they fight and they fight and they fight and they fight and they fight. Pretty soon they're thinking fighting doesn't work. They quit fighting. It doesn't mean emotionally they're any more comfortable with what's going on, or that they're any better about it. Inside, they can have that same rage and turmoil going on, but they've just learned that overtly it doesn't do anything. So I like to kind of, think about flooding is like if you're afraid of spiders or snakes, and somebody said, okay, to help you, we're just going to put you in a pit of snakes, and you're like, yeah, it's not going to help. But anyway, and flooding can actually cause more damage. So it can instead of desensitizing them, which is what we're looking for, it can actually sensitize them, because then they're thinking, I'm going to avoid this at all costs, and they'll start learning the precursors. This comes before this happens. This comes before this happens. So we don't want them to get to that place. So even if that's happened, it's happened in a lot of horses' lives, we just want to go back and we want to counter condition it. We want to take it and we want to systematically desensitize and counter condition together to help him learn that it's okay. So identifying that threshold is really, really important. And this may be a slow process, and it can be a fast process. For some horses, it takes lots and lots and lots of time. And for other horses, it is that once they realize it wasn't as fearful as they thought, it can go boom, boom, boom. But they will be the indicator of that. If you always stay below threshold with them and take these teeny tiny steps, you're going to recognize each little step along the way. And so what we want to do is very short and very sweet sessions. And when I say short, I am talking a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes the most. Very short little sessions, particularly in the beginning. As you build and the comfort level grows, you can build up the duration and the time. But in the very beginning, the clippers themselves, even from very far away, as we start to bring them the tiniest bit closer, and they're going, whoa, what's that? And they're not completely over threshold, but they're starting. We want to just kind of approach it a little bit. there's tension and there's worry. So one of the biggest things we can go is go, that was great, and I'm going to take the clippers away. That's reinforcing on one way, but we're also going to, I recommend using the positive reinforcement, which will make it infinitely more reinforcing. So think about it. What's in it now if we're not using, well, he won't take the carrot. So he's so far of a threshold he won't even eat. So that's a big clue right there. But anyway, but building it up, putting something in it for him, because you think about traditionally what's in it for them. There's not a lot, but we can put something in it that they value. Pretty soon they're invested in the training equation and the outcome of the training. So what you want to do, I would make sure you have a bridge signal. So teach a clicker, a verbal bridge signal, or a whistle, or whatever you want to work on. So have a bridge signal and teach that, and teach them the manners about food, and that's great. And it teaches a little bit of impulse control and teaches them to be good and relaxed about the food. I would teach them about the target, because a target can be a huge comfort and relaxation for them. The target, as we train the target, and we teach it with relaxation and we teach it with positive reinforcement, all it has is good associations. So they're thinking, I love the target. The targeting is great. It's easy. I get reinforced. It's relaxing. It's good. It becomes a very safe place and a very good thing to do. This process alone builds a lot of trust. This doesn't take a lot of time, just little tiny sessions and repetition. And it doesn't take a lot of time. It just helps to build up their comfort level. And so, it starts to build a relationship, and not only a relationship with you, but a relationship with training in general. So they start looking, going, ooh, I like training sessions. They're fun. What are we going to learn today? And they become problem solvers, and they get involved in the training. So you want to start there before you go tackling the really big things. I would, even with something as drastically fearful for him as the clippers, I might even teach him like to pick up his own feet. I might teach him to go to a stationary target, teach him to do a couple other things with the target and the positive reinforcement, so that he really gets kind of into the game of this thing that they love, and the training itself becomes intrinsically reinforcing. So it's not really all about the food in the long run. So you can, anyway, so as you build that up and you get him, so he's enjoying the stuff, he's learning, he's progressing, he's liking it, then we start doing some of these sessions that are the clipper sessions. And what I would do is I would find that threshold. Where is it that the clippers can get near him that he's still calm? So one of the things you might do, one of the things that I used when we did this, we did a shoot for a show over in the UK, and they had one of those massagers, you know, those 3-prong massagers that are, when you push them down on the body, they buzz, but when you take them off, they stop very quickly. That was a really, really good tool for desensitization, because we need to figure out, most likely, I mean, it can be a number of things that are causing it. It can be the sound. It can be the feeling, and it can be that the clippers, you know, if you don't have sharp clippers, you always want to make sure your clipper blades aren't hot and they aren't sharp. I mean, that they are sharp. Because if they're dull, they can actually just pinch and pull the hairs, and that's not a comfortable process. If we let them get too hot and don't take care of them through the process of clipping, they can actually be burny and extra sensitive. So you want to kind of figure out, there's a lot of elements to it, but a lot of times by this point, since he's so fearful, the sound of it is probably the thing that's really lighting him up, but I don't know for sure. So what I would do is I would start with maybe like a massager or something like that. They're inexpensive. You can get them, you know, at catalog places. And I would start where you have that thing far away. And can you bring this thing up without any buzzing? And slowly bring it up. And can you touch him? Can you touch him all over with it? Yep. Could he see it? Let him see it. Good. And let him, so he's very comfortable with that. That may not be a process, but it might. So we don't know until you go out there and try it with them. So you may be able to bring it, rub it all over me. He's like, no big deal. It's not buzzing. I don't even know what it is. I don't really care. But that's okay. We want to build a good association with this thing. So he sees it and he knows what it is and he thinks, oh, I like that thing. That thing's good. Why would I not like that thing? And you build a good, strong reinforcement history with that thing. So he thinks, if I'm good and relaxed and that thing touches me, good things happen. Okay, great. I love that thing. Next thing I would do, I would take that thing far away. And I would, and even you might even have somebody else do it at first and have them try it from 15 feet away and then just push it enough that it goes, and if he find out how close you can get it before you get the slightest titty bitty teeny tiny reaction. So if you can get it, you know, within, you know, let's say you get to 8 feet, and at 8 feet he starts going, I don't like that. He's still not over, he's not gone. He's just going, what are you doing? But it's very calm still. I would say that is his threshold. That's where we stop. Ask him to target. Look for him to relax, to focus on the target. Click reward, click reward. Don't get any closer for today. Just say that was great. Okay, then the next day start under threshold and slowly bring it maybe a foot closer. Again, just looking for him to go, oh, okay, I can deal with that. Okay, I can deal with that. But you can only get the relaxation and I can deal with that if it is only the tiniest bit above threshold. So he's only going, oh, what is that? And you just go, hey, can you target? Yeah, I can target. Yeah, that's great. We're going to end there. Lots of reinforcement, lots and lots of reinforcement. Very short session. Take it away and have that be the end of that for now. And let that build up. We have a couple things that happen through the learning process that I think are really important. And this is where the short and sweet sessions come in. One, we have something called latent learning. So latent learning happens with us too. It takes 12 to 24 hours for us humans, and the horses too, to have a new thought form a permanent pathway. So I don't know exactly how long it is with horses, but it takes a while until it forms that permanent pathway. So what we want to do, and that's why they tell you, study and then take a break or sleep on it. So it can kind of it can gel in your head a little bit. So giving them that little teeny tiny session saying, that's great, here you go, lots of reward, that's perfect, I'm leaving, look, or, the clipper, the shaky thing is leaving. And then he can go, well, that was no big deal. I can do that again. And you can give it a few days in between. That's great even if you do it. So it helps to build up his reinforcement and go, well, that wasn't so bad. It didn't turn into this big giant thing because usually it turns into a big 45-minute process or 2 hours or 8 hours, depending on how big the clip is. Anyway, so build up. So latent learning is one thing you want to do. And the other thing is those, by having it be very short and sweet. Where was I going with this? Latent learning was one component of it, having it be very short and sweet. They can only take in a certain amount of new information, just like us. We can only take in a certain amount of new information. If we drill it, if we go past a certain amount, they're not learning anymore. We're just drilling it. And we definitely don't want to do that. We just want to say a short little bit, this was great, there's new information, look, it's nice and comfortable, it was a good situation, it never took you over threshold to a worrisome point, keep it very, very low, this is great. Reinforcement, build a good, strong reinforcement history and let it be. And then you can put days in between. You can come back tomorrow. You can come back later. But I would do other sessions in between too. So maybe you stop with that and say, okay, great. Can we lift a foot and do some other fun things? And pretty soon you're going to get closer and closer and closer and keep it, make that noise happen until you can bring it up to him. And when you can finally bring it up to him, I wouldn't even touch him with it. I would just have it all around his body. And when he will just stand there like, yep, no big deal. I don't really care. I'll just touch the target. I can hear that thing. It's not touching me. Then the very next thing I would do, I would take the back of my hand, not the buzzy, stronger end of the massager, but I'd take the back of my hand so I could feel a little bit of that vibration. I might not even touch him with my hand. I might touch him with my wrist with it vibrating. So we can feel, you've dulled the sensation of it, but he feels a little bit of that buzz. And he may go, oh, and so you just want to keep it really soft and see if he can't go and just have him target, do something nice and relaxed. So, you can do this. You see him start to relax a little bit. Click and reinforce the relaxation. So as he starts to relax, say that's the idea. Stop it and take it away. Reinforce him quite well with the food. And pretty soon, continue along this path, keeping him under threshold the entire way, and you will get there. Some people, my friend Jane Savoy, she had a horse. She was told, you will never clip this horse without tranquilizing it. It took her 3 days. In 3 days, she had that horse clipping without tranquilizer, without anything. But then sometimes it can take months. So just take your time. It's a good time to start because it's still early in the season and build up that reinforcement history. If for some reason you find yourself where you have to clip for whatever reason before he's ready, I would make sure a vet gets involved and he gives him drugs that actually mentally takes him, that is very sedative. So it's not, there's certain drugs that gives them, they can't react, but they're very aware of everything. We don't want that one. We want the one that's the narcotic effect that makes him where he's like, whatever, I don't even care. So if you have to do it for some reason, don't set yourself back. At least make it an experience that is as unpainful as possible, if that makes sense. But I think as you get started, you're going to find that certain parts are going to go faster, certain parts are going to go slower, and sometimes you get past a certain hump and things will fly by, and sometimes it'll take slow the whole way. But let him be the gauge of that. Okay, So, Kathleen, I hope that helped you out. It's a lot of information and a lot of tips. And it sounds like a lot because I cover all these little itty-bitty, teeny-tiny steps. But like I said, some of it will go very fast and some will go very slow. But if you keep them under threshold, you will not set yourself back. So I think it's very important. If for some reason you accidentally get under threshold, you're going to have to take steps way back and build up that trust again and build up that trust again. But it's okay. Sometimes it happens. You just go back there and go, it's all right. And remember, too, when you take them out of context, you take them to do it to a new place, it's going to be a whole new thing. So one of the ways that you might be able to set them up for success is to start this process someplace where clipping didn't already happen. You know, so maybe you're out in the paddock and he hears it and he's like, well, that's not that big a deal. I know this isn't where I'm so defensive about it. Also, I would suggest doing these things at liberty so that he can leave. So if he does get over threshold, instead of him having to strike and become dangerous, he can just walk away. He probably won't even run away. He would just walk away because he's like, I don't have to be a part of this. So if you do this all at liberty, you're going to know exactly where he stands. It's going to be a lot of information that he's giving you. When he will come up to you and stand patiently at liberty, you know you're really getting somewhere. But then when you take him back to the clipping place, go back and start again and assume that when you change context shift can change everything. So you can lose a lot of criteria. So go back to the beginning, teach him like he's a brand new baby doing it, and take him through the steps again. That process will usually go very fast, but build it again, building the reinforcement history in this new place, in this maybe place that has its own history. Okay. A lot of information. So if you want to learn more about positive reinforcement, if you want some help, and we have some great courses on here for this, actually the husbandry courses, you can go to connectiontraining.com. Myself and Hannah Dawson-Weston and Rachel Bedingfield, the three of us started this to help people all over in pockets of the world that can't have a trainer come directly and help them, to have a good positive reinforcement trainer there. So we've been having great success with it. It's been very helpful for a lot of people. So if you find yourself stymied and you want some help, you want more advice, you want, private calls or, to do video conferences, you can go to connectiontraining.com, learn more about the training and maybe get a little bit more help. But clearly, I've given you a whole lot of information right here and now. So see, you can go there and get started with that. If you want more information about me or other products, you can go to ShawnaKarrasch.com. Also, we do have on Connection Training, we do have a clipping video so that you get access to with your membership. I mean, I have one too, but if you go to Connection Training, you get so much more. That's what I do. Anyway, so I hope that helps you out, Kathleen. I would love to hear about your progress and see how it goes and see what we can do to help you along the way. Anyway, there you go. Until next time, enjoy getting your horse on target. Bye.